I guess a lot of people actually remember the mistakes that they made in the past. For me, it's really easy to generalize the past as a time where I did everything right.
This reminds me of this conversation I had with my parents. And they told me, you're not an adult till you're 26. And that made me really mad.
Growing up, I was always a little bit different. I always felt like there was something like fundamentally wrong with me, like something I was missing out on. If I could like fix that like one thing, then I could be like normal, like everybody else.
I used to say that I'm like never insecure, that I'm not insecure, and that I have like a very realistic perception of myself. I would just like lie in my bed every night and be like, man, I suck so much, I hate myself. And then like it would get to a point where I didn't even like know why, I just did. But I never felt like I was being insecure or that this is something that I could help.
I never take care of my responsibilities like an adult should. You know, I always forget. I feel like I always rely on other people, which, I mean, that's human. I don't feel very confident about my abilities to handle the world alone.
It's easy to think about childhood as a great thing. You think, oh, I hung out with so many people, and I read so many books, I learned so many new things. But then you also remember just like the hours that you spent watching cartoons and like playing Zoo Tycoon or something. Just, I don't know. I mean, if you did that now, you'd probably chastise yourself.
I was always like the kid from like the U.S. who could speak English but like couldn't speak Korean, and I was the kid who like wore too many layers of clothing. We had uniforms, right? They gave us a shirt, a vest, a larger jacket. I just wore all of it at once, and I like overheard a bunch of like people like talking about me and laughing.
I was caught by a cop driving without a license. Because my friend wanted to go to Denny's, and I had a car, but not a license, and I was 15. My car got towed, and my parents came to rescue me. And ever since then, they haven't really let me go for that.
It's really easy to be hard on yourself when you think about the past that way. And I think that's a mistake that I make a lot. Every time something bad happens, you're like, okay, I'm gonna remember this as a truly terrible moment in my life, so in the future I will have context. It'll be relative, things won't seem as bad, there'll be perspective, but you can never remember how bad things were.
If there was anything good to say about myself, then that was like an exaggeration or a lie. And then I think like maybe towards the end of high school or maybe at the beginning, or I don't know, somewhere in between, I realized that like there was no real reason to feel this way.
It's hard to know whether I'm being sane or you're being sane or neither of us are being sane.
That's not to say that I feel like I'm like as good as everyone else right now. I mean, I don't know if I ever will, but I think that goes for everyone. I don't think I'm like particularly special in my insecurities.
I don't know, I guess the feeling never really wore off that I was always doing something wrong.
I feel like I live in the shadow of things like that. I feel like I'm not going to be an adult for a really long time. I feel like I'm going to be 15 until I'm at least 26 maybe.
Forget your real age for a second. How old are you really?
Gosh.
Tell me about your insecurities. Do you think you're making the same mistakes over and over again?
I actually get that feeling a lot when I'm having a fight with you. What are you jealous of?
I'm jealous of so many things. I don't even know where to begin.
Like if you just took our conversation out of context and heard somebody else saying it, you would just be like, what are they even talking about? Like they're being so dramatic right now. It just sounds ridiculous. It's like you're like in a cave.